Pam, you said I had 5 minutes. I timed it. It's 5 minutes and 38 seconds. Good afternoon. I am Jennifer Sensitia Boatman, and I had the pleasure of starting my career in education at Jess Harbin Elementary when all 3 Parker children were in elementary school 15 years ago. I stand here today humbled and honored to have the opportunity to speak about a man who, like for many of you, impacted my life in ways I now will never be able to share with him personally. When I heard the news of his passing, I yet again felt an all too familiar feeling of regret about how long it had been since I had seen or spoken to someone that had just died. This time, like a punch to the gut, it was my long-lost book fair buddy, my fellow MFFL, Mr. Parker. I was immediately so mad at myself that I hadn't stopped by and knocked on the door the many times I had been in the neighborhood. For my 5 years at Jess Harbin, Mr. Parker was one of my all-time favorite parent volunteers, my right-hand man for every book fair and every production or event we put on. He was a school volunteer for all the right reasons, and he probably outdid even the best room mom. He would stroll in with his cup of coffee after drop-off and just ask what needed to be done, and everyone knew that you could count on him to get it done. As many of my fellow Harbin people have shared in the last few days, you knew it was going to be a good day when Mr. Parker was there. He was a worker, and not just for his own kids' classes, but for the overall greater good for the whole school, all kids and all teachers. This is what makes for the perfect volunteer. Mr. Parker clearly knew that doing things that benefited the whole school, in turn, also benefited his own children. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I do think he showed up a little more often once his precious Lily started kindergarten. But still, you saw him working events whether his own kids were participating or not. Mr. Parker helped with a lot of things that people don't like doing, but still needed to get done, like setting up and taking down the book fair. To this day, I still follow his mantra of work smarter, not harder, when setting up and taking down the book fair. In the beginning, he amused me and let me do it my super OCD organized librarian way, and it took forever. Then he schooled me, and that process has stuck with me to this day. Even now, when I'm packing up book fair and just tossing books back in boxes, I can still hear him say, "You really think the Scholastic police are gonna check to make sure you matched the books to the right box?" Mr. Parker was also my sound and light guy for all the productions we put on. I don't know how much of it was because he genuinely enjoyed doing it, was amused by my crazy antics, or because he didn't want anyone else touching his precious sound machine. Mr. Parker and I loved bantering back and forth and loved giving each other a hard time. If anyone knows me, you know how often I need to be put in check, and he all too often called my bluff. But at the same time, he would roll with the punches because while he might have thought I was ridiculous and often laughed at me instead of with me, he knew the kids would love it and went along with it. He quietly worked behind the scenes, seeking no credit or glory, while the kids and I soaked in all the glory of our show. That's the kind of man he was. He did things for people because he genuinely wanted to, expecting or seeking nothing in return for himself or any other member of his family. He was one of the most present and involved fathers I have seen in my 15 years in education. He was Mr. Mom before it was cool and could probably run circles around Michael Keaton's 1983 version. He put aside his pride and did things that were stereotypically what a mom does or is expected to do. He was hands down the epitome and best example of a true family man. He even did most of the cooking. On a few occasions, I was able to experience for myself his delicious meals. And we aren't talking about the typical dad meals like hot dogs or heated up frozen meals. His meals were the real deal. He put his family first and did things because it was what was right for them, regardless of what anyone thought or what society said his role should be. What a blessing and what a beautiful life Pam and Don created together. As a librarian and educator, I often turn to books or literature for comfort during these times of sadness or grief. Little did Pam know that a post she shared on Facebook just a few weeks ago would be what I have chosen to share with you all today. She shared a story that has made the rounds on social media called Make the Chili, and I wanted to leave you with this story today in honor of Mr. Parker. A good friend of mine unexpectedly lost her husband. A couple months later, we were running together, chatting about nothing. She asked what my dinner plans were, and I told her, well, the hubby wanted chili, but I didn't feel like stopping at the store. We ran a few more minutes when she quietly said, "Make the chili." It took me a few minutes to realize we were no longer talking about dinner. It was about going out of your way to do something for someone you love because at any moment they could unexpectedly be taken from you. So today I'm sharing with you that wisdom handed to me by my dear friend that I've thought of many times since that day. Next time someone you love wants you to go for a walk or watch a football game or play a board game or just put your phone down and give them your undivided attention, just do it. Make the chili. All too often we get wrapped up in what we have going on. We get too busy to do the little things for people we care about. We come home from the office at the end of the day too tired to take care of things around the house, play with the kids, or spend quality time with our significant others. Make the chili. It's true that you reap what you sow. More than anything, your children are the legacy. Spend the time with them to shape them, mold them, teach them, listen to them, play with them. You'll be surprised what they had to say, and it's refreshing to hear their perspective. Make the chili. Mr. Parker lived this motto, literally and figuratively. He left behind a legacy for his children to remember forever. So before it's too late, Pam, I want you to know how grateful I am for your support over the years. I will always cherish our time, most recently the wine night we shared just a few weeks ago, and you gave me exceptional marital advice. I left that night wanting to be a better spouse. Maybe I'll finally let the Corvette thing go. To Billy, Wesley, and Lily, it was the honor of a lifetime to have the opportunity to be your librarian and watch you grow. I am immensely proud of the young adults you have turned out to be. As the days and years pass on, you will undoubtedly want to focus on all of the things your dad will miss or not be here for. Here's the thing, he will be there. He's always been there, and he will continue to be there. You might just have to look and listen a little harder. You all have some big shoes to fill and legacy to carry on when you choose to raise your own families. Your dad will live on through that, and you will see him in the most simplest of things. He's giving you the tools to move forward. To all who love Don, carry on his memory by being present, not only for your family and friends, but for your community. Volunteer at your local school. Make the chili. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 24. No one should seek their own good, but the good of others. Love you.
I'm Spencer, and me and Billy have been friends for, 15 years. And, Don, Pam, and Lily, Wesley, and Billy are all my siblings. And, coming here today, just thinking, walking through your house and seeing every picture of a soccer team, baseball, band, and seeing Don in every single picture. And seeing the terrible pictures of Billy Parker with no teeth and a hat that's too big, and Don in the background coaching us. And granted, we were pretty terrified of him growing up. Not gonna lie. But older we got, it was a relationship that all of us really cherished. From watching a Mavs game and screaming at the TV, or seeing him fall asleep in his chair 15 minutes into a movie. When something like this happens, it really makes me think about all the little things that we all take for granted. And the first thing that came to mind was riding around in his Chevy truck that was really not safe to drive in, and listening to music that he had curated for us when we were in elementary school, and introducing us into things in music that we would have never heard before. And the fondest memories I have growing up were at the Parkers, the house that's just full of love and open, as people said, to everyone, and just seeing Don at the smoker doing something that not very many people can do, and these little things just crept into my mind, and you never think about these things until something happens, and I laugh about some of these memories, and I cry, and thinking back to the lives that Don touched, and whether it had been at PTA, volunteering, at Lowe's, and the people he worked with there, my family, who I can honestly say anything I told my father I could tell Don, because he's my second father, and Pam is my second mother, and I can say that wholeheartedly and with pride. And I've laughed till my ribs hurt with Don. I've sat in silence with Don and cherished it, and he's a person that we should all strive to be, in terms of opening his arms and opening his house and volunteering his time. And he was a phenomenal person. And like it's been said, there's so many stories that we could sit here all day and laugh and cry. You know, whether it be me and Billy eating dinner at my house and then driving over to their house and telling them we haven't eating twice, a lot, like every Friday, or just riding around with the windows down, listening to bands that Don had picked for us. And I loved him like a father. A lot of us here loved him, and will always love him. And you know, going to Mavs games with him were a blast, and my love for the Mavs today is I can 100% contribute to him, even though me and Billy have definitely scalped the tickets many times that we were given to just see what was in the West End, see who would let us into a venue. Don probably didn't know that about that, so I can say it now. But he was truly a beautiful person, and I'm going to miss him. We're all going to miss him, but he is loved, and he will always be loved. Thank you.